Fuck it, we're doing it live. You guys ready? We're doing it live. Why can't I get out of this window? All right. What's up, everybody? Um, we got news. Steam is here, and I want to touch on a lot. So we're gonna try to break this up into chunks. So let's get into it with the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine. And this is the unified system I'm calling the Steam Engine. So this is a really fascinating opportunity for a lot of people to not only step away from the console market, but also into a market that will allow them to openly stream, have access to whatever they want, and have full creative freedom, much like a PC, if they choose to just move it away from the TV at some point and use it like a computer, which is super neat. So, the Steam Machine here is a desktop operating system with, well, it's a Steam desktop with the SteamOS operating system. Now, we already have a pretty good idea of what the SteamOS looks like, but I don't have one with me at the moment to show you, and I can't load up a VM of it currently, but I can open up big picture mode as I have opened up a few things, and I can highlight how I set up my system on my TV. So I have a home NAS, so that's important for me to really quickly disclaim, but it's important also to note that these kinds of things are completely available to you. I actually have a video on my channel that goes over exactly how to do it. That's kind of an introduction into building a home NAS for yourself. And if you already have a home PC, it's just a USB drive that you can plug in, try it out, and if you hate it, you just put Windows back on it and you're good to go. Make sure you back up your information, and I'm not responsible for what you do to your equipment, of course. But jumping into what I expect for the SteamOS to kind of represent on boot up initially, it's probably going to ask you, do you want this to be booted up every single time as a desktop, or do you want this booted up in this type of loading sequence right here? That is going to be the SteamOS main profile. Now, underneath here, we have what's new, friends, recommended, and this is just going to be your basic update of what games do you own, what's going on with the game, are there events, are there new games, updates, DLC, what are your friends playing, what do your friends say about games, what are the reviews, that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to hop into a game that your friend's playing and things like that and play together, or you wanted to give somebody a thumbs up for getting an achievement. How do I do that, by the way? Like, I see the button down there, but I don't know how to do it. Well, anyways, while we're here, I actually have a problem with the big picture mode because everything about it continues to imply that there is no community tab on the Steam Deck. And I want to real quick, actually. Interesting. In the game's page, after finding the game in your library, select the community option, which may be listed under a game info. Ah, so it's game specific currently. Interesting. So yeah, I do think, because just looking at this, and let's just dive in real quick. So you have screenshots. Important. Video game screenshots help sell games. Important. Like, getting a community that obviously wants to see these screenshots is important. But it can grow, is my point. As soon as these resources are, you know, I want to play that so bad. Once these resources are accessible from the big picture menu, the SteamOS, the Steam Machine, the Steam frame, and I know that the Steam is working on a lot of the VR stuff. I know they love the VR stuff, but this is kind of a social opportunity here that I think that they should go ahead and jump on. Their broadcast and their support of developers is fantastic. Fantastic. Their workshop and their support of modders is fantastic. The news tab is fantastic. It's the one that's updated and looks the best. So like I said, I have a NAS. So my recommendation is to you that you can simply add it into your system. When I had my Steam Deck here, Having a NAS was really interesting. Now, the load times were not very good at my place because I wasn't using fantastic repeaters. And it was more of like a proof of concept in my place because I don't have the money to invest in that kind of stuff. Um, but it did work, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, you can actually Steam library and NAS and everything like that. It's not recommended. It's not fantastic. Some games don't work. Sometimes it's just a backup of a game. You kind of learn as you go what you can play, what you can't, what's a backup, what's not. And then also you have your controller option here. So a lot of this is going to be on the Steam machine natively. So you're going to be able to connect up your Xbox controllers. You don't need to have a Steam controller. As it says, you have Nintendo button layout. Like this is universally accepting all controllers that you have. If you have a little USB old PS2 era controller that's just for PC, you can plug it in and throw it on the couch and it's your Mad Catz controller. If you're moving away from a device, you're getting to keep your controllers. So yeah, that's super neat. I find that fascinating, and I think that's important to highlight. You also have the friends system. So I have a massive library of games from being a Humble Bundle subscriber for a very, very, very long time. I'm an old man. What can I say? This becomes a great benefit to my family because I get to share my games with my family. And I love sharing my games with my family, and I think it's super cool because they get to see what I play, and then they play what I play, and we talk about it, and it's fun. And they come over, and I have a very large game library, so I get to have all of these games that are able to be played locally and are fun to be played locally, and etc., etc. So I think that's also very important to highlight is if you have 3 people in your household, like let's say you have your Steam machine in your bedroom, that's your operating system, your OS, your desktop, and then you have 3 Steam Decks, and you used to be a PC gamer, you could just throw your PC in the corner or in a closet running a NAS, and you could just host the game library, and then you could just be like, yeah, you could just load it off of the Steam Deck, onto the Steam Deck that way, and that's a very easy way to control your family library and things like that. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of really useful resources here worth noting and worth taking a look at. Like I said, we're doing it live. With everything said from the previous segment, I think it's really cool to also kind of point out that if you have a Steam machine, it's going to be 6 times faster than your current Steam Deck. And I think that's being based off of even the current power projection of the OLEDs. So it's important to note that this is fundamentally making the Steam Deck the mobile companion piece to the GameCube. And the Steam Deck is it's the GameCube and the Newell pad. Anyways, yeah, if you already have a Steam Deck, you're going to have access to remote play as well as streaming it. So you have 2 opportunities there to have ways to play your games on these devices in unique ways. So if it's just you and you want to just have a gaming system that's a little bit more wide range, have wider friendship range, wider game selection range, or maybe you just prefer RTSs and strategies and like the idea of just having a very slow RTS playing on a very big screen in your living room at all times. Um, yeah, there's just so much freedom here that this kind of stuff allows that I hope that people explore. So I wanted to highlight a few things. So if you already have a Steam Deck, one of the greatest things is if you dock it up and you decide, hey, I want a Steam machine to replace my dock. But what do I do with my dock now? You could actually just put an Elgato capture card in between it. And this is something that they kind of point at, but not exactly. So right here, there's obviously, hey, get the Steam Deck docking station. By the way, $3.99 for the LCD display right now. I'm thinking about ordering one. That's a really fair price. Anyways, just throw it on a dock, right? Then you have your HDMI out, put an Elgato between it, and then on your Steam machine, since it's just Steam OS, like they put it, if we take a look, you have this lovely lady here streaming her Stardew Valley gameplay. And yeah, all you would do is put your Steam Deck in between it, and then you can have your Steam Deck act as your capture source, and then have that do your rendering and outputting, and then you can have a localized studio, essentially, because both of these devices are just Linux-based operating systems. So there's really nothing saying that you can't have this work both ways, where it's both an enjoyment tool and now a creative tool, which is fantastic for anybody who's interested in traveling and creation. We are still doing it live. So really, when it comes down to it, I think that the Steam Machine kind of fits in this incredible market niche that okay, so I go to LAN events. By the way, you should definitely support your local LANs. One of the troublesome things is having to cart very large machines. Like, obviously, if you're used to 175 hertz displays, 175 hertz output, 1080p perfect displays on liquid crystal displays with no ghosting, etc. This is all the kind of stuff that you're going to bring. Very expensive equipment. The Steam, having two. I'm just going to pick up two of these controllers, one Steam machine, a Steam Deck. Also interesting to note that a QNAP TS 464 is also one of the trendy selling NASs right now, because I think it's going to the e-ink display on the front of it, making it like a cute little CRT where this can show its stats and whatnot as it runs. Obviously, the modding community is going to jump on things like this, and we're going to see it flourish, and we're going to see, be due to the right to repair and everything that they seem to always support. I wouldn't be surprised if we see blueprints for getting custom CPUs balled onto it, etc. in the future. But displays on the front, very cool. It also has it has one display port, one HDMI port. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of conclude the video off by saying I think that Steam has really opened up a door for the next generation of not only gamers, but the expectation for what consoles should look like and what we can expect consoles to look like in the future, as we've seen with Xbox kind of being like, meh, but that's really about it from me here today. I hope that this is inexpensive. I hope that this is available to a wide market immediately. And if you guys ever go public, let me know first, because I want to put like some money into y'all, because that would be awesome. Later.